And yes, United and City's Dennis served to remind us that Match of the Day will be on air tonight at 10:30 on BBC One. But I should also tell you that very sad news has reached us today about one of our Match of the Day colleagues, Rio Ferdinand, whose wife, Rebecca, sadly passed away from cancer last night. And I'd like to pass on our sincere, heartfelt condolences to Rio and his 3 children on behalf of everybody in the team here in Sheffield. Now it's almost time for the completion of the first of our semi-finals here in Sheffield, and Barry Hawkins and Shaun Murphy will be walking out here very shortly. And let me tell you the story of this match so far. The 2005 world champion Murphy raced into a 6-2 lead in their opening session with 2 centuries on the way. Hawkins, who'd had only a few hours to refocus after a draining final frame decided with Neil Robertson the night before. But in the second session it really didn't get much better for the Hawk, a runner-up here 2 years ago, as Murphy gleefully threw in a couple of centuries en route to an apparently unassailable lead at 13 frames to 3. First to 17, of course, going through. But last night, as Hawkins stared at another session to spare semi-final defeat, just as he had last year against Ronnie O'Sullivan, he suddenly found some momentum. 2 centuries, 2 70-plus breaks, and another half-century saw him win 4 in a row. And Murphy, who registered his 5th century of this match, was left tantalisingly in need of 1 remaining frame for victory. Barry and the crowd seemed delighted that he'd taken this one into a deciding session. And John Parrott with me. This was indeed one of the most enjoyable sessions of the week, albeit that the stakes were very strangely favouring Shaun Murphy. Pride in performance, clearly a driving factor for Barry.
Very much so. He's a total professional, and the crowd loved his performance as well. They wanted to see a match. They came here to see one. Understandably, the way Shaun's played, Barry was a little bit below, and Shaun's been fantastic. So they haven't had the match they expected, but they were behind him every way last night. And boy, did he play well.
Yeah, at one point he won 4 in a row, Barry Hawkins, and there was just the sort of sniff of a slight story change here, wasn't there?
Well, you would think so. People would be looking at it, but as a player, you think to yourself, it's not really on. I mean, listen, there's 2 things got to happen. Barry's got to play the best snooker he's ever played in his life, and Shaun Murphy's got to collapse, and that's not going to happen.
Surely there can be no doubt about the outcome, or can there?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just a matter of time, really. Shaun's hitting the ball too well for that to happen, and you'd have to think there's a chance, certainly in this first 4 frames, going to come up somewhere.
Murphy looks on course for a 3rd final here, 6 years after his last. And can you sum up the quality, the level of quality that is achieved so far in this championship, John?
It's been superb. I mean, what we've seen with other people through the tournaments is he's played great for a couple of rounds, then dipped. He's just played constantly very good from ball 1. He doesn't look like he's going to stop doing that. He certainly looks like the man to beat in the tournament this year, and the way he's hit it, his long play has been unbelievable. His long potting fantastic, and his scoring, he's looked like the world champion. Well,
it's interesting because I was chatting with Barry Hawkins last night when he was unwinding a little bit after that session, and he was saying that Murphy was stroking them in from such distance early in the match that it was really messing with his head. He just couldn't leave him safe anywhere on the table.
And he didn't actually, for Barry, who's very good, get the cue ball close to the ball cushion enough. And it's you're being ultra critical here because Shaun Murphy's long game made it appear that way. But if you don't, unless you get it absolutely glued to the cushion, the way he's been knocking long balls in, you're really asking for trouble. OK, well, are we going to witness one of the greatest stories ever told here at the Crucible this afternoon? Or will the magician, Murphy, stride over the line in style? Let's find out, shall we? MC Rob Walker is waiting.
Thanks, Hazel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. After 15 fabulous days of action, we are at last closing in on the lineup for this year's Betfred World Snooker Championship final. And this great city has once again delivered top-quality drama every single step of the way. Please welcome the ultimate class act on and off the bays. 18 months ago, he was so frustrated with his game that he contemplated walking away. But winning the Masters in January reminded him he still belongs at the very top. And here he is, 1 single frame away from a 3rd Crucible final. He's in the form of his life, so raise the roof, because he's Shaun the Magician Murphy! And his opponent. His route to a third successive Crucible semi-final has been an absolute marathon. Epic wins over Selt, Allen and Robertson that have tested his stamina and skill. What a consummate pro to keep the match alive last night with 2 top-quality centuries. Ladies and gentlemen, he richly, richly deserves to be regarded as one of the very best in the world. So come on, Sheffield, raise the roof for the world number 5. He's the Hawk. He's Barry Hawkins.
Well, they would love to see him put a few frames on the board this afternoon and make a match of this one. And describing it all, it's time to say hello to our commentary team. Stephen Hendry, John Virgo, who are ready for both a fast finish or the long haul, guys.
Well, thank you, Hazel. It's absolute bedlam here.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Could it be
Thank
one
you.
frame, or
Frame
can
25.
Barry Hawkins
to
take
break.
us to a mid-session interval? That could be the only goal in his mind at the moment, Stephen.
Just try and get under Sean's skin a little bit. Just try and delay the party, as it were, getting to the final. One frame at a time. See what happens.
Well, quite a way away with that one. And this Crucible audience would love to see the comeback. It looks nigh on impossible, but I suppose the impossible does happen sometimes. Can happen. And in the third session last night, Sean Murphy came out. It looked as though he was playing an exhibition match with some of the shots he went for, but Barry took full advantage. Well, he's missed the red. Well, he may not have left it.
The main thing that Barry has to battle today is just his own thoughts. Coming out here today is he's not expecting to win, so having that sort of positive attitude is quite difficult. Sean taking the double in here. No, so he's showing the match a little bit more respect than he did last night. Just a couple of times, and I mean, when you're so far in front and you feel you're going to pot it, then you go for it. But just there's a couple last night that I think, did he not go for them? He would have won the match last night.
Well, that was a superb pot. Needs to slow up this side of the bottom line. I think it will. Yes. Nicely on green or brown. What a good pot that was. Just got past the blue.
4.
The real damage was done, of course, in this match. Lost the first session 6-2, the second session 7-1. And it was always going to be a mountain to climb then. But as when Rob Walker introduced him, the consummate professional, he never gave up. Okay, at the moment it's all about playing for pride, but he did start to cue well last night.
Yeah, and what he wouldn't give for the 4 frames he played against Neil Robertson from 3-1 down. Neil Robertson never scored a single point. So he's world number 5. He's capable of reeling off a few frames in a row.
Yep, and if this black goes, you just play a little can on the red to the right of the black. Black must be available.
11.
Played it nicely. Now, surely he's stunned over far enough, has he? Or has he?
18.
Well, it looks like he's having to play with a tracer left-hand side. This is missable now, then.
Foul.
Oh, yeah, well.
Barry Hawkins, 18. Sean Murphy, 7.
Well, I should have been on the red.
Yeah, there was one of those earlier on in the match with the rest where it's like he convinced himself in the end it could go, but obviously it didn't. Disappointing end there. That was a good opportunity. Very positive safety shot from Sean. Got a good cue ball as well. It's a secret when playing them safety shots. When you're opening all the reds up, you must get a good cue ball.
Well, he can get to a red down the right-hand side of the table, but it's one of those you're going to have to catch it very thin, and every likelihood it could go towards the left corner pocket. So it needs a good cue ball. About where it is would be good. Bit pacey. Well, it might nestle up behind the green. Could do, could do. As it covered the red near the corner pocket, I'm looking at Barry Hawkins' body language. I think Sean can just bend this cue ball round the green and maybe pot this red.
Yeah, I can't see a colour coming from it though, because he's putting that left-hand side on. The cue ball won't be going anywhere.
Yes, couldn't avoid the kiss on the second red, so I think he'd just play a safety.
Sean Murphy, 1.
Well, knocking a red towards the right corner was a little bit dangerous, but he's got the cover with the green. Well, tremendous pot. He couldn't see a safety, had to go all out for the pot. 1. Now, will he be tempted by the difficult pink to the left middle?
It's a tough pink, but I think with a scoreline, you've got to go for your shots.
I think the other problem with it, Stephen, if it was straighter, he could just roll in and get position on a red, so he's got to play it with a little bit of pace. Makes it more difficult. Oh, but right in the heart of the pocket. Super shot.
Yeah, that was
7.
almost as good as already knocked in. Just with the danger side of it, should he missed it. No, great chance to take this
8.
opening frame.
Well, didn't do a lot wrong. He played a good safety. Forced Barry into playing the pot. And you can't stop your opponent from knocking good pots
14.
in.
15. $21. 22. 28. 29. 35.
3 of these remaining reds would be enough to get him to the snooker's required stage.
$36.
Maybe a little bit too much angle on the blue, but it's not too bad. Doesn't want the kiss on the red. Well, he caught it thin enough.
41.
Didn't want that kiss, but it's okay. Looking for red colour, red.
42.
Short on the blue, so playing the pink. And he's hit these solid, you know, right in the heart of the pocket, every one of them. And if he pots this red, he goes 59 in front with just 51
48.
remaining. Every credit, Barry. You're hanging on in there. Sean Murphy will have to wait for another frame.
$55.
If Barry rolls this red in, no way Sean will be coming back to the table.
56. $62. Thank you. 63.
Come a little bit straight on the pink, but frame over. There's a possibility still of a century break.
69. 70.
He's got a nice angle on the pink. Obviously it takes some potting, but just drop it in and he'll be naturally on the yellow. Go in, you beauty. Good shot.
Yeah, last night, and obviously now with the chance to make the century, his scoring has
76.
been incredible. And he'll just be, if he does go on to lose this match, he'll just be annoyed he hasn't produced his form in the first 2 sessions.
78.
Yeah, we were saying last night, he was just a bit unlucky with the draw, wasn't he? He finished his match with Neil Robertson and he had a late night and it was a gruelling match. And, of course, was first on the next day, so didn't have much time, recovery time.
I must admit, I'm not a subscriber to these theories. Might be a bit harsh, but I just think the adrenaline of playing in this one-table situation, semi-final of the world. He's been here the last 2 years. He's used to it. That second frame, that red in the middle. I know it's only the second frame. That could have been pivotal in that first session.
Yep. He missed an absolute sitter.
96.
Well, this is... You've got to take your hat off to him. Wonderful to hold your concentrations, to produce snooker like that. Absolutely fantastic, and a standing ovation from this packed Crucible audience. Turn up! Well played, Barry Hawkins. OK, still looks impossible, but is it the impossible dream? Can it come true? Still 7 behind.
No wonder he's smiling. He's getting roared on out there. They want their value for money this afternoon here at the Crucible. That was the 76th century of this Betfair World Championship for 2015. And as I keep reminding you, the record 83 in 2009. We're moving ever closer. Gentlemen, we have Ken Doherty has joined John Parrott and I here in the studio. And this is, it's interesting. And I tell you what, there's a very good point that Stephen Hendry made in commentary about the repercussions of that match with Neil Robertson. Do you subscribe to the theory that there was any fatigue involved in the aftermath of that for Hawkins?
I could understand where he's coming from, that adrenaline sort of can sometimes kick in, but he did have a very grueling match. I remember when I had the grueler against in the semi-finals, and then played Mark Williams in the final, the first couple of sessions, I was completely out of sync. So I think adrenaline and tiredness and fatigue does come into it. Sometimes you can get by on adrenaline, but sometimes the fatigue does kick in, and it certainly happened to Barry Hawkins, no doubt about that.
Well, he's certainly not fatigued now, and he's certainly giving as good as he gets out there if he rejoin commentary.
Yes, and you join us, and that's not the best break-off shot from Sean. So there's a chance of a pot, but of course, Barry in the situation now, he's got to play don't miss snooker.
One.
Well, a tremendous pot. And a chance to score. And he is that type of player, as Stephen said earlier, can get on a roll and just keep winning frames in one visit. Didn't get enough side on this, but I think he's OK. He's got the one to the right corner, which is maybe the one he played for. I was thinking maybe he wants the left corner. He's landed perfect on this. Inch perfect. And if the black's available, just has to drop the red in. Black for the opposite corner.
Thank you. 7.
Now in potting the black, I think he's got the slight angle. Just play a little cannon on the red immediately above the black. Played it nicely. Now, does the black still go?
14.
It was tight before. It does go. Just wants to leave a slight angle on the black so he can pot it.
15.
And play for the red. That's just, well, he's run a bit far. Now, maybe that tells me, Stephen, he's going to play a little cannon here on the main bunch. Not too hard.
Yeah, I'd have liked to have got rid of the red to the left of the black before doing this. That's OK, he's on it. He's hit that perfectly.
Yes, and the reason Stephen
22.
said that if he'd have just run a bit too far, he may not have been on this red, but it's worked out perfectly by the look of it. All right, just off straight, but should be able to stun on and off the top cushion. And looking at it, he's got a red to the left middle. Well, he's going up for the blue. But the main thing about this is he's opened the reds. He doesn't have to play any more cannons because there's plenty of reds to work on. And in potting one, he'll release another. Now he's played for that red to the left of the black, and this time he's landed absolutely perfect on it. He can screw back, play for the black in the same pocket as the red. Probably would be his choice.
29. $36.
Well, Sean, just having to sit there and be patient. He knows he's going to get a chance, but the longer it takes for that chance to come, the more he'll be getting a little, not edgy, but concerned slightly.
Yeah, the reason it's a little bit edgy is they want to be winning this match sooner rather than later, and the more frames Barry takes, well, just that little bit of panic starts to creep in. You'll be thinking now, what if this goes to the mid-session interval? What if he wins the first frame after the mid-session interval? All these doubts start to creep into your mind. It's crazy when you're sat in that chair.
Of course, that's what happened last night, didn't he, when he went into the mid-session interval. And if Barry could have come out and won all the 4 frames, I mean, all of a sudden it was matched back on. Barry could have quite easily won that session 6-2.
44.
Just didn't judge the contact there. Now, can he cue past the red? He doesn't want to be hampered and having to be striking down on the cue ball. Makes the pot more difficult. Well, he is doing. Nope. Always made it tricky.
Barry Hawkins.
Just didn't run through as much as he would like.
And as you said at the start of the frame, he's got to play no miss snooker. Really can't afford many mistakes. The only pot I can really see Sean playing is the one to the left centre. He can play it as a sort of shot to nothing. Leave the cue ball on this black cushion. He won't be leaving Barry anything easy. Should it go in? It's a great chance.
Yeah, he's now going to have a look at the balk end. And of course, this you can get overcautious because last night he went completely the other way, didn't he?
Well, I can't for 1 minute think why he would not play this red to the left centre. Bring the cue ball back to the black cushion. I mean, if you pot it, everything's there for you to win the match. Strange. For me, that's a strange choice of shot.
Well, he's got a good cue ball, but as you say, with the cushion he has, but as I say, probably brought about last night by coming out, treated it more like an exhibition match than the semi-final of the World Championship, and maybe his team behind him said, well, don't get embroiled into that type of snooker again.
No, you can go in the line of thought that just let my opponent make the mistakes. I'm bound to get a chance sooner or later.
Got to be careful here, just knock the black in. No, he caught it all right. Bit thick. Missed the blue. He needs the blue to help him here. Can he get past the blue? Well, he's eyeing up the pot, so I assume yes, he can. So that safety shot that he played has given him this chance.
One.
Well, if he went on form from the rest of the match, you'd say he's gone favourite for this frame now. He's not played that too well. And we'll say the hardest frame to win is the one for victory. Still quite easy just to hold for the blue off this red.
9.
It's gone a little bit far. So maybe not completely at ease. Not the cleanest of pots, but he's okay. But I don't know what sort of
13.
angle. He might have to play the red, the two reds to the right centre, the one that's closest to the black end for the black here.
$14.
Well, he could play off the cushion the red that's to the left of the pink. Play a cannon on that. That would leave the two reds to the right corner. If he misses it, he's going to be in the one to the right centre.
21.
And of course, if he can get through to his red, which he obviously can, it clears the path for the other one. It's just the right of it.
22.
So no obvious hurdles to get over. Balls are in the open.
$29. $30. $37. $38.
He just looks supremely confident going around the table, though, you have to say. And he has done the whole tournament.
Yes, I think he's at the peak of his powers at the moment. Very impressive in winning the Masters
45.
at Alexander Palace. And he's brought that form here to the Crucible Theatre. 1 point ahead now. So red colour, yellow, green, brown, blue.
50.
And he'll book his place in the final.
51.
And you have to say, John, if he keeps potting the long balls he's potting and scoring as heavily as he is, he's going to take some stopping.
So Barry Hawkins,
56.
well, disappointing start to the match, that's what did him, but fair play to him, he's dug in, and taking this to a fourth and final session was an achievement in itself. But I think he'll be sat there now, Stephen, thinking, I've played my last shot in this championship.
Yeah, Sean just potted that yellow with a rest. 100% rest success in this match.
61.
Just the brown.
Yeah, the brown will put him 21 points in front with 18 remaining, but nice angle on the brown to be on the blue. And that's it.
65.
I'm sure he will say after the match that he was never concerned, but he will give every credit to his opponent for hanging on in there when
70.
all looked lost.
$76.
Sean Murphy is in the final of the Betfred World Championship 2015. A fantastic performance. Barry Hawkins, every credit for taking it to the final session. But from the early doors, it looked to be only one winner. And that is Sean the Magician Murphy. He's in the final. He runs out a comfortable winner in the end by 17 frames to 9 and will take all the beatings from here on in.
He certainly will, John. He's won 53 frames. He's conceded only 24 en route to a third Crucible final, 6 years after his last. Remember, this is the man who is a 22-year-old turned up here at the Crucible, a 120-5-1 outsider for the title. And he won more matches than anyone had ever achieved before to win that title at the age of 22. He came back 4 years later, was beaten in the final by John Higgins, who tied him up in knots, he said at the time. But he's back into another. It's taken a very long time to get here, a very long 6 years, John, and he thoroughly deserves his place in that final. He has been outstanding so far.
And he was packing in 2 years ago.
Exactly.
I spoke to him at the Masters. He looked like he was at the end of his tether, didn't know what he was going to do. And through his own perseverance and with help from Chris Henry and people around him, he's changed his game round. And he's going to take some stopping here this week. He won the Masters in impressive fashion earlier in the season. And he's hit the ball beautifully all the way through that match, and he's just totally confident. Any man who turns up at the Crucible having ordered 5 new suits means business.
Either that or
he's going to a lot of weddings in the summer.
Well, he's on his way to talk to us. Before he gets here, a word about Barry Hawkins today. It all came just a little bit too late for him in this match, certainly his form, but he's shown once again he absolutely deserves to be here, the semi-final stages at least.
He was very professional, wasn't he? He kept going in there. He must have been absolutely sick to be the scoreline he was. He kept punching away last night. Same today. Hit the ball really good today to come out. The crowd were really into him, hoping he was going to pull a few more frames back. But he just gave himself too much to do against somebody who is at the peak of his powers and playing as well as he is.
Well, here he is at the peak of his powers. He's just sneaking into our studio here. Congratulations, Sean. Well done. It's been a long time coming, but you're back in the final. Can you just express to us, just tell us exactly what this journey means to you this time?
Well, as Rob said in the introduction, you know, it's not that long ago since I'd lost to Selby in the semis of the Masters and was considering going off and doing something else. So to be, you know, what is it, 15 months since that day, to have got back to the World Final, having won the Masters a few months ago, is well, it's more than a dream come true. It's unbelievable. It's something I never thought I'd do again, and I'm blown away.
Tell us about what you've had to do in those 15 months, Sean, because I remember hearing you talking about not being part of the conversation, about being tipped for winning these big events. How hurtful to you was that?
Well, it was tough. It was just tough watching everybody else that, you know, I'd come through with as a junior player and an amateur player going ahead and doing bigger and better things than I was doing, having done what I did here 10 years ago. Everyone thought I was going to go and push on and do better stuff, and myself included, and it just didn't happen. So it was very difficult. But, you know, it was an interesting thing. When Chris Henry and I started working together, we spotted 2 technical things we wanted to change in my swing, you know, actual on the table. We spotted 57 things off the table. Varieties, yeah. That I had to work on, you know, between my ears and things to work on that I was weak on, self-belief and all of that type of stuff. And, you know, maybe I'm getting my rewards for that.
Well,
work.
of the 57, which was the most critical, and how did you change that?
I just didn't believe in myself anymore. When it came to it, you know, I believed I was going to lose, believed I was going to get beaten by the top players. I didn't think I was a top player anymore, although my ranking said otherwise. You know, it was a long time since I'd touched any silverware, been in the presence of any silverware, and self-belief and positivity only goes so far. You've actually got to be physically doing it as well.
The thing is, though, it all comes together, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, I know you broke your cue option a little bit. I mean, at first you were saying to him, I don't want to change anything technical, but of course Chris convinced you otherwise. But it all comes together, doesn't it? When you know that you're confident every ball you're looking at, you know, you're naturally going to get confident because you know you're going to knock it in.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that, you know, we're all confident and positive in the practice room, you know, maybe at smaller ranking events or whatever. But out there on the big stage, be it here, the Ali Pali, the Barbican for the, you know, for the UK, that's where you get found out. and I got found out for a few years.
Well, I mean, I've been saying for a few days that I've never seen you walking around a table as confidently as you have done the last few days. But was there even an inkling of concern last night when Barry made that run at you?
I was just very, very impressed by his resolve and his professionalism. You know, to come out there and really keep going and keep trying. You know, you'd expect that of all the players, to be fair, but he did it, and he came out here, and even today, you know, you could see by the way he started, he believed he could make a run, and had he have won the first 4 of the mini session, then, you know, his team talk would have been different.
And here you are in a final once again, and I well remember the first one 10 years ago when you turned up at, what, 22 years of age, and I just wonder, when you look back at yourself then, what in essence makes you a better player, a more complete player than you were? Because, you know, it must have been so difficult to try and go on and achieve something. You'd already at 22, you'd kind of done it.
I think it was all about maturity. And at 22, you know, I thought I knew everything on and off the table. You know, I was a bit of a know-all, and turned out I was wrong big time. And you know, it's taken 10 years perhaps for me to go through that process, learn a bit about life, and come back a better person.
I'll tell you what it was. In 2005, he qualified next to me, and all I could do was balls thumping in. And when he turned up to play in the venue, if it was round, he went for it. And he just knocked absolutely everything in. He is a far, far better snooker player now.
But in saying that, your key strength, your long game, is still really the hallmark of what you've achieved here, because Barry was saying that you just tied him in knots. There was no place safe on the table for you, particularly early in that semi-final.
But it's what, you know, probably the most successful player of all time, Stephen Hendry. That's how he made his career. That's what he did. If it was available, he went for it. You had to snooker him for it to be safe. And it's not necessarily whether the balls go in or not. It's more about the statement that you're making, which is, you're going to have to snooker me, otherwise I'm going to go for my shots. And that's the way I enjoy playing. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always win. But it's working this week.
And now you can start thinking about this final 10 years after you won it. Everybody's talking about Alex Higgins and the gap of 10 years. Once again, there's echoes there clearly. But when you think about the final, what will you do in the intervening hours before it, and will you watch what goes on in the other semi-final now?
Yeah, well, I'm a snooker fan first. I've watched every ball of this championship, pretty much, that's been played in every match, which isn't so great for my own preparation for matches. But I'll do absolutely nothing differently for this match now. I'll have my practice session tonight, a good practice session, another couple in the morning, hopefully a good night's sleep, and be fresh and ready.
You can bet your bottom dollar you're going to practice. He's waiting for Chris Henry over here.
I know, yeah.
You might be playing now before you go on.
Yeah, no, keep the suit on.
And listen, just assess the state of that other semi-final, because as we know, it's Stuart Bingham who is really upsetting the odds here. He's beaten Ronnie already, and he's really showing some nerve out there against Judd Trump.
Well, I think it's really good for, you know, the public at home. You know, perhaps they haven't seen much of Stuart Bingham on the home shores. We, of course, all know all about Stuart, you know, for a long, long time. And I think the commentators have said he's had most of his success abroad. But, you know, he can really play. He's a fantastic scorer. And as he's showing, he's not frightened of what is the biggest stage in our game. I really couldn't call the game. OK, well, last before you go, actually, 5 new suits, I think it was, you had made. Which is the first one we're going to see in the final tomorrow? Do you know what? I'm absolutely sealed to secrecy. Oh, I see. Say no more. We will wait. That means I don't know. Sean, congratulations. It's lovely to see you back in the final once again. Well done, Paul. Well played. Play well. Thank you. Very good. All right, well, we do have a little bit of time in hand, thanks to Mr. Murphy. We've already heard from one legend of football, Dennis